Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to take you through the kind of mindset that you should build for you to implement a core banking system, or for you to do a core banking system changeover, which means you're changing over from the old system to the new system. I've been implementing core banking systems for a long time, about 2 decades for now, and I want to share with you this experience so that you become better in your next core banking system changeover or core banking system project. So let's move on. So in this section of the video, we're going to cover cluster number 10, which is go live and also cutover or hypercare. So what does it mean? It means how are we going to go live? How are we going to cut over? How are we going to support post go live? So this is what we're going to cover in terms of mindset in this particular video. So let's see what we're going to cover. Okay. So we're also going to cover the cutover, okay, the go or no go decision, the rollback, the hypercare, and also the success of the go live. So let's go through them one by one. So the first mindset is cutover must be minute by minute, owner by owner. This is very important. I was involved in so many cutover activities in core banking system changeover. So when it comes to cutover, you want to plan it in such a way that you are showing it minute by minute, owner by owner. How are you going to cut over so that you don't miss anything? Don't do it at high level. If you do it at high level, you're likely going to miss some of the very important actions or activities in that plan. So this is a very important mindset. It must be minute by minute. This is very important. Minute by minute, okay? And it must also be owner by owner. Who owns a specific task? It will be very easy for people to own this and then you follow up. So why does it matter? A cutover without a minute by minute and owner by owner runbook leaves critical timing accountability to chance during the highest risk hours of the entire project. I can tell you during the cutover period, you are working close to 24 hours a day. There's no change to that. So what goes wrong if this is ignored? The teams, they know the date, but not the detailed execution plan path. So as much as the people, they know we are going live on this particular day or date, they also need to know what are they supposed to execute for them to achieve that go live date. So the execution path is very important for the team to know. How do you create that execution path? You create it through the minute by minute planning of the cutover process. So what is the correct project manager mindset here? Is the changeover requires precise sequencing, timing, owners, checkpoints, and also communication. I can tell you from my experience, the actual cutover process is where the timing is very, very important. Checkpoints is very, very important. Communication is very, very important. Where are we in terms of what we're supposed to have done? Are we all available? The owners of the tasks or the activities, are they available? Are they taking ownership of their activities? Are they working on their activities? So sequencing timing is also very important. This is a very important mindset for a project manager. Okay. Now let us look at the scenario for this. A cutover plan exists only as a high-level list of work streams and rough timings. On the night, two teams both assume the other is responsible for validating a specific reconciliation step, and it is missed until hours later. So this is a scenario. So if it was not, there was no ownership on this particular scenario, you must have an owner of a specific activity so that there's no confusion. There's no expectation that another team is going to do it and then the other team is not acting. So if that team, they take ownership of that, it must be done. So what are the action items here? You need to build a run book, which have got tasks which are sequenced and minute by minute, each with one named owner. So a run book is very important. It's called a cutover run book. From the day you're going to start the cutover activities, you must have a run book with activities, owners, even the timings must also be there, so that people, they know that after 2 hours, this is what is going to happen and who is going to do it. After 4 hours, this is what is going to happen and who is going to do it. Number two, Rehearse the run book exactly as written during the dress rehearsal. So during dress rehearsal, remember dress rehearsal, you're doing a mock of your actual cutover. You're practicing how to cut over. So the run book in your dress rehearsal, if it was successfully completed, then it means you have to follow the same that you did for dress rehearsal for you to cut over. Then number three, never allow the run book task to have shared or ambiguous ownership. There must be someone who owns this. What I've seen with so many banks is they select a member who's going to lead these this cutover. So it's like a manager, cutover manager, who's going to make sure that all the tasks they are also being followed, and all the communication is also being done. There is no something that is ambiguous, and also there is ownership in the activities. So number two, so in this cluster of cutover and hypercare, go or go decision must be based on agreed criteria. It must not be something that is based on opinions or emotions. This is a good mindset. As you want to go live, make sure that it's based on agreed criteria. It's not something that is based on opinions. There must be some evidence to show that this was the criteria to agree to go live. We have met them. Now we can go live. So why does it matter? Deciding go or no go criteria in the moment under pressure and also invites bias and inconsistency when clear-headed judgment matters most. So if you have not defined what is a go or no go criteria during this time of go live, I cannot overemphasize. You are going to be under too much pressure from all angles. You start seeing some issues which were never seen. You start resolving some challenging issues. There's pressure from senior management to go live. So the agreed criteria must be done earlier in the project, not during the go or no go decision period. So what goes wrong if this is not attended to? You have pressure that is going to override objectives and also risk assessment. You won't have time to do risk assessment. There's too much pressure during that time, I can tell you. Then what is the correct project manager mindset? Readiness decisions must be transparent. This is very important. All the stakeholders, they must know, why are we saying we are ready? The vendor must know, the vendor who is implementing. And also even the owner of the product must know. Also the staff members, the regulator. So it must be transparent and also documented. And there must be some evidence to show that for sure you are actually ready to go live. So that's the correct mindset that you should have here. Then in terms of the scenario, at 2 a.m. during cutover, migration and reconciliation shows small percentage of exceptions. So there are exceptions during migrations. Without pre-agreed criteria for what tolerance is acceptable, the team debates, okay, so the team is now debating during this time, the real time whether to proceed, losing an hour of cutover. So they have lost an hour debating on whether they should proceed or not because of a small percentage of exception in the data migration reconciliation. This criteria should have been defined earlier. No need to debate during this time. So what are the action items that you can take from here? You need to agree on a go or no go criteria and also tolerances in writing well before the cutover night. So if there's going to be intolerance, you're going to say defects 10% or 2%, then you're going to say we can go live. That has to be done earlier, not just during that go live meeting or discussion. Number two, you also need to ensure decision makers they have authority and they are present and reachable during this cutover time. I can tell you there are going to be some decisions which are going to be made by senior management on whether to go or not to go. And some of these decisions, they might require even to involve or even to aid or to accept some commercials or costs associated with that. For example, people might be working after hours, they want to buy food and so on and so forth. Also, avoid making tolerance or risk acceptance decisions for the first time under this pressure. This is very important on this mindset. You're going to be under pressure, so don't make decisions for the first time under this pressure. So, this is very important mindset. Go or go live decisions must be based on agreed criteria. Don't base it on any opinion. Let's move on to the next one. So, The third mindset that we have is rollback thinking must exist even if when rollback is unlikely. I have to be honest with you, this word rollback is very painful when you are a project manager in a core banking environment. Rollback, it means you go live, then you decide to go back to the old system. And it's most likely going to point to a lack of planning, proper planning. But it can happen. I've seen a bank which went live for 4 days, they had to roll back again to the old system. But it's mostly costly because most of the transactions have been going into the new system. You need to reconcile them and also repost them to the old system. So this mindset is very important. Rollback thinking must exist even when rollback is unlikely. So rollback is you're going back to the old system. So why does it matter? Assuming rollback will never be needed means no one has actually verified it's possible. So rollback can happen. There could be something very disastrous. For example, infrastructure might fail, servers might fail, operating system might crash. 2 or 3 days for you to bring it up. So you'll be forced to do the rollback on that one. So always think of the rollback as you go. So what goes wrong if this is not catered for? The team has no credible response when critical cutover step fails. Anything can fail. You might fail to reconcile. You might fail to extract information. Channels might fail. A backbone of the system might fail. So you should always plan for this. So what is the correct project manager mindset here? Even when rollback is difficult, contingent thinking improves decision quality. I know it's not very easy for someone to accept rollback, but you should always plan for that. It can happen. So let us look at a scenario. Migration hits unexpected critical error mid cutover. The team tends to rollback plan, only to discover it was never actually tested. And executing it live under pressure takes longer, is for riskier than anticipated. So, in this scenario, during cutover, there is a critical error in data migration, and it is actually the team's intention to roll back, but they're discovering that it was never actually tested. So executing it under pressure takes for longer and is for riskier than anticipated. So what are the action items that you should take in this mindset? You should always document, you test the rollback procedure itself, not just forward planning. So rollback procedure must also be tested. Include rollback triggers, decision authority, also in the runbook. So in the runbook, you must say if ever migration is going to fail, who has got authority to make a decision to rollback and who is going to initiate the rollback activities. Then the third one is rehearse rollback during at least one dress rehearsal cycle. So you cannot just say we have documented the rollback, we have actions for the rollback. There must be some way to dress race it, and the best way to do that is during dress rehearsal. So rollback thinking is very important as a mindset when you are actually implementing a core banking system. It should always be there. Let's go to the next one. I hope you're enjoying the video so far. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to click the like button, subscribe button, and the notification button so that you're the first person to be notified each time a new video is uploaded on this channel. It will help this channel to grow. It will also help this channel to produce more videos like this one. So the next one is Hypercare must be prepared like a project phase. Hypercare must be prepared like a project phase. This is very important, this phrase. So what do we mean by hypercare? So as soon as you go live, I can tell you this is the point when the system is actually going to be exposed to the users for real scenarios in the banking environment. And any oversight that was existing during testing or anything that you have not discovered during testing is going to come out during this hypercare. It normally takes 2 to 8 weeks to stabilize the system. Some they want to call it hypercare, some they want to call it stabilization period. It's the same thing. So during hypercare, users are going to use the system for the first time, and in front of them they have customers. Say for example, they are customer service users or their tellers who are actually going to see the customers. So for you to prepare for that period in terms of human, non-human resources, You have to prepare as if you're also preparing for a project phase, which means you document who is supposed to do what. In most cases, what we have done in our project is to have the change champions to be distributed all over the branches so that they are quick to attend to some of these issues during hypercare period. So why does it matter, this mindset? Hypercare without its own resourcing plan and success criteria simply becomes unplanned extension. So you also need to plan it the way like you plan any phase. You need the criteria. How do you enter into hypercare? How do you exit into hypercare? That is also very important. So what goes wrong if this is ignored? Issues are going to flood, unstructured channels or accountability becomes very unclear. You're going to have so many issues if you have not planned for this. You're going to have so many issues. And these issues, no one is going to take accountability to resolve them. So hypercare preparation is also very, very important when you're planning your core banking project implementation. So what is the correct mindset for the project manager? Post-life support is a controlled transition, not an informal help. So when it comes to post-life support, like what we normally do, we normally have one meeting in the morning and then one meeting in the evening, just to make sure that we are closing all the issues that are coming in from the users and from customers. Because at this point, you don't want the bank to lose customers because of the new system. So as soon as the issues are prioritized, you resolve them. Now let us look at a scenario. Go live succeeds, but hypercare was never formally planned. Okay, no dedicated support roster. Okay, no daily governance rhythm. Within days, the same team that ran the cutover is exhausted trying to handle live issues with no structure. So during the hypercare, you're getting issues from all over. I can tell you from experience. There was a project where it was affecting the the governor of a certain state and was calling directly to the chief executive to try to understand why they were not able to transact using the account. And you know, once something is coming from the chief executive, the pressure is too much. They call the chief executive is going to call whoever he thinks is going to help. So there's going to be a lot of pressure here. So what are the practical actions that you have to take? You need to plan your resource hypercare with same rigor as other project phases. This is very important. So as you plan your projects, you plan hypercare, then you plan post-life support. But it has to be done the same way like you plan another phase in a project. You also need to set clear entry and exit criteria for the hypercare or stabilization period. This is very important. So when can you declare that you are now in the hypercare scenario or period? Or when can you say you are now exiting hypercare period? So that criteria has to be defined as early as possible, especially when you are planning your project. You also need to run the daily hypercare governance reviews. What I normally do in my projects is I do it twice a day, one in the morning and one in the evening, so that you don't have any issue that is going to prolong and is also going to affect the bank's customer. So this mindset, hypercare, is very important after cutover. And you should also plan and work on it like the way you're working on another phase in a project. This is very, very important. Let's move on to the last mindset for this cluster. So the last one is success is measured after the bank operates safely, not because the system was installed, not when the system goes live. So if the bank is now able to operate safely, then you can now consider the go live to be successful. We normally go live with banking system over weekend so that we take advantage of Saturday and Sunday. So probably you start on a Friday, then you go for Saturday, then Sunday, and then on Monday. So the reason for doing that is you want to allow the bank staff to be able to be exposed to the system and also see if they can operate safely. So it's a good mindset. You can only be successful if the bank is operating successfully or safely, not because you've gone live. So why does it matter? Celebrating the go live event itself before the bank has proven it can operate safely and stable. It risks declaring victory before a real test has been done. So you find from my experience, most banks They even have these celebratory parties for go live, probably 2 to 3 weeks after go live. And in most cases, the system will be stable at that time. So what goes wrong when this is ignored? The project declares victory too early and leaves operation exposed. Okay? So it will be very embarrassing that you are busy celebrating victory and then there are also complaints coming in from the customer in the market. So what is the correct mindset here? True success is stable operations, reconciled balances, customer service, and also regulatory reporting, as well as issue control. So you can only declare that you were successful if you were able to service the customer. There's also stability in the operations, and also balances are also being reconciled. You're also reporting to the central bank. So what is the scenario here? The project team celebrates a successful go live weekend. 2 weeks later, branches are still struggling with queues, delayed reports, unclear issue ownership. The system went live, but the bank was never actually made ready to operate. So this is one of the scenarios. You went live, celebrated, but the bank is not able to operate. So what are the practical actions here? You need to define success as a stable, safe operation of the bank, not just a go live event. This is very important. Success can only be defined if the system is stable, if you have reconciled your balances, if you are servicing your customer. You also need to track post-go live operation indicators. For example, queues. Do you still have queues in the banking hall? I was involved in one project where the queue was actually outside the banking hall. That was very embarrassing. The first day, system was very slow, so we had to do a lot of performance tuning to make it faster. You also need to check reports. Do you have the right reports? You also need to check the issue log. Okay. So for you to say the go live has been successful, the queues must go down. Also, the reports that are coming in must also go down. The issue backlog must also go down, especially the high impact issues or critical issues, they must also go down. Then you need to keep governance and support engaged until stability, not just go live. This is very important. So governance, it might also mean how issues or how solutions are also being deployed in production. It must also be monitored. And also stability. Is the bank now able to serve the customers within the expected service level agreement? So this is a very important mindset to have. Success should be measured if the bank is able to operate safely, not just because of go live. If you want me to create more videos based on what we have covered in this video, you can reach out to me or you can let me know in the comment section below. Thank you for watching.